Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorite series in the history of gaming, up there with the likes of even The Legend of Zelda, and actually one of my favorite series in the history of entertainment in general. And as such, with any series that we like, there are always some things that we like more than others. In this case, I'm going to be talking about the particular games that I like in the Kingdom Hearts series more than other, and I'm going to rank them from 1 to 5. And I want to say first off that I have not played a bad Kingdom Hearts game. Even the two that I did not put on this list were not bad games per se. They just weren't great like I feel these other 5 games were. So without going any further, let's go ahead and get into my list. Coming in at number 5, Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance. Now, I will say that one of the greatest aspects of this game is the gameplay itself, which in fact might even make it a better game than some of the ones that I put ahead of this. But it was simply the fact that the story was just so convoluted and, as far as I'm concerned, fairly weak. It does succeed in getting us something to hold us over until Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out. But other than that, I really just love this game more for the gameplay than anything else. The flow motion controls were absolutely awesome. The worlds were kind of they were mostly just okay worlds, though there were a couple that stood out. The one that I think of in particular was the Symphony of Sorcery, the Fantasia world, which I love, and I really am actually interested in seeing that return on Kingdom Hearts 3, as a matter of fact. But overall, Dream Drop Distance to me was just a great game, but not the best game in the series. It was perfectly adequate to get us into the final game, though, and I think it was very important to the series overall.
Okay, have it your way. More pain for you means more fun for me.
Up next, I have the one game in the series that is more than likely a hit or miss for anyone in the series, and that is Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. More specifically, Kingdom Hearts RE Chain of Memories, which I played on the PlayStation 3 and absolutely enjoyed. It was a magnificent game as far as I'm concerned. The gameplay was very interesting to me, and something that I wasn't expecting to like so much at first. But it added this whole element of strategy into the game, and while I don't like it for gameplay as much as the more quick-paced games, I thought it was a very welcome idea or concept to put into this game. But the thing that really took it over the top for me was the story itself. It had a very great story, and something that I felt really just took the entire series and brought it up to a new level with the whole thing with Sora's memories and everything like that. The Organization 13 members in this most of them were pretty decent, but there were a couple in particular that I really loved that have become some of my favorite Organization 13 members in the series. In fact, there was one Organization member in particular that appeared in this game that happens to be my favorite overall from the entire organization. But yeah, Chain of Memories. I'm not going to say you're going to like this game because it's so different from the rest of the series. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a really good game, a welcome addition to the series, and I really appreciate the creativity involved with the making of this game.
You poor, simple fools. You think you can defeat me? Me, the mistress of all evil!
Coming in at number 3 for me, the one that started it all, Kingdom Hearts 1. Kingdom Hearts 1 has this totally nostalgic sort of feeling for probably a lot of us because it was the first game in the series and the game that really got us interested in Kingdom Hearts 1. Although I'm sure a lot of us were probably interested in it before the game came out just because of either Disney or Square Enix or the fact that the two were being combined together, which I thought was absolutely incredible as an idea. It was a strange idea, but an incredible and a creative idea. The game itself, it was very well made. It was successful in getting us into the series. It was a great first installment. The boss battles were great. The worlds were awesome. There's not really anything bad I can say about this game, except that I didn't really care much for Atlantica. But then again, who does, really? I'm usually one of those people who love water levels, but Atlantica just didn't do it for me, which is a shame because I really do like The Little Mermaid as a movie, just not in this game in particular. And basically for me, Kingdom Hearts 1 was a great game, great bosses. There's nothing really bad I can say about it except for the Atlantica world, as I was saying. Awesome story. It was before the whole story became a complete mess, which doesn't really bother me too much because I still understand the story pretty well. It's kind of tough to get, so I can understand why people don't get it anymore, and I can understand why Kingdom Hearts 1 would be their favorite game in the series just because the story hasn't really gotten that complicated yet. But for me, Kingdom Hearts 1 was just third best, and still an awesome game, totally worthy of being in the series, and I still play it to this day. If you've gotten this far in my countdown, you probably have a pretty good idea of what my top 2 favorite games in the Kingdom Hearts series are. But now it comes down to on where do I order these 2 games. A lot of people love these 2 games, and they are often put into people's number 1 and number 2s. So really, let's just see what I have to say about these 2. Coming up first at number 2 is Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 2 was an absolutely awesome game and totally worthy of being on the number 1 favorite game in the Kingdom Hearts series on so many people's lists, and I cannot argue with it at all. It was just a phenomenal game. The worlds were amazing. It was incredibly well crafted. The story, I loved it. I know some people may think it was too complex, as I've already said before, but for me, Kingdom Hearts 2 and the story was really well done. The characters are awesome. I enjoyed the worlds even more than I enjoyed the ones in Kingdom Hearts 1. And I'm really hoping to see Pirates of the Caribbean again in Kingdom Hearts 3, just because there's so much more adventure they can put into a Pirates of the Caribbean world. I would love to fight Davy Jones, for instance, and I hope to see that world again in Kingdom Hearts 3. I can't really remember anything bad about it again except for Atlantica. And this time Atlantica is even worse than it was in Kingdom Hearts 1 as just a sing-along game. Now, this wasn't totally complex, I don't understand why this was necessary for the game. Everything else in the game was amazing. I loved Beast Castle, and the battle with Zaldin was one of my favorite battles in the entire Kingdom Hearts series. For me though, Kingdom Hearts 2 was an amazing game. It's just not number 1. You probably guessed it by now, but my number 1 game in the Kingdom Hearts series is Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. It does everything that I loved in Kingdom Hearts 2, but makes it even better with its 3 stories that intertwine into one. Something that I didn't mention that I loved in Kingdom Hearts 2 was the existence of the Valor form and Wisdom form, and Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep really used that kind of idea in this game with the different what I would guess you would call them limits, where you take out so many enemies at a time, and you get to use these special type of moves like the diamond dust and things like that. And that's something I really enjoyed in this series, and something that I would love to see in Kingdom Hearts 3 as well, along with the Valor forms and wisdom forms and things like that. Perhaps that could add into my whole idea that multiplayer should be in the game and give these characters their own specific kind of fighting styles. Some of them may use the diamond dust form type things that Birth by Sleep used, and then Sora, of course, would have his Valor and Wisdom form again. But the thing that really knocks Birth by Sleep over the edge for me is just the overall story in the game. It was an incredible story and a perfect start to the Xehanort saga, as far as I'm concerned. It answered so many questions. It was so fun to play, and it was a good challenge to me too. The only part that I got bothered with was when I was fighting Master Ericus, who really was a little too tough in a way. But I still was able to beat him after a few tries, and he was. I do appreciate that challenge. So that's the way it is. Birth by Sleep was an awesome game. I love playing through all three of the stories. I love seeing the culmination of the ending and how it ended for each of these characters, even though it was kind of a cliffhanger at the end. Zayn was awesome. I loved his whole plot. I loved having Vanitas in there. There was nothing about this game that I did not love. They didn't even have Atlantica in there, which is pretty awesome. So yes, my #1 Kingdom Hearts game ever at the moment, before Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, is Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and it's going to be very tough for Kingdom Hearts 3 to beat this. And there we have it. That's my top 5 games in the Kingdom Hearts series. Your list would probably be a little bit different from mine. There may be things on here that you agree with more than others, and more than likely you're going to have a list that's completely different from mine, even if you use the exact same 5 games that I use for this. And I do have to say that whether you would have put 358 over 2 days or recoded on this list, or on your own personal list, I see absolutely nothing wrong with that. They were both great games in their own right. They just weren't as good at games for me as the other 5 in the series have been. 358 over 2 days had one of my favorite stories in the entire series, and I loved having Organization 13 in there, but it really just missed out on #5 because Dream Drop Distance had such awesome gameplay, and 358 over 2 days really just never was that special for me as far as gameplay was concerned. And for Recoded, it had great gameplay. I loved the gameplay in that one, except it didn't have that great of a story, and Dream Drop Distance just did a better job at that too. So yeah, those are as I said, those are my top 5 games in the Kingdom Hearts series, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Like it, subscribe to me, do whatever you want to do. I know there's a lot of these lists out there on the internet, and I just like the idea that I can spread my opinions and maybe give you some thoughts that maybe you hadn't thought of before. And well, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, as I said, and I can't wait for Kingdom Hearts 3.